Good afternoon. Here is the national news from BGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo TV. 2nd March 2022. I am Regila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the national news. Ukraine, Max Air begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians today. Still on Ukraine issue, use your private jet to evacuate Nigerians, not girlfriends, but Bruce tells politicians, billionaires. 40. Father allegedly had love to daughter in KB. Suspected X-Men kill Delta farmer, bury corpse in shallow grave. Hot weather, man falls, dies while sleeping on Storey building. Transport fares rise, filling stations sell petrol above 200 naira. The news in detail. Max Air on Tuesday confirmed that beginning from today, Wednesday, it would commence the evacuation of Nigerians who were left stranded by Russia-Ukraine war. But Air Peace, on the other hand, said it had not started the evacuation process, stressing that this would be made public soon. The General Manager Operations Max Air, Raymond Omadiabe, told correspondent that the federal government had requested the airline to carry out the task and that the carrier was set to begin. He said, "We have been assigned and we are on it. We've been airlifting pilgrims to Arch and doing chartered operations for many years, so we are not new to this. So understand that we have been commissioned and we will depart tomorrow, Wednesday. We're operating tomorrow and it is to start bringing in the people. Ask those states the number of flight or airplanes that would be deployed for the operation." Or Modiabe replied, "We're doing it one at a time." When asked to state when Air Peace would start evacuating Nigerians, as required by the federal government, the spokesperson of the airline, Stanley Olisa, said it would be communicated soon. The federal government had on Monday said it would on Wednesday begin the evacuation of about 2,000 Nigerians who have fled the war in Ukraine to neighboring countries. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, who disclosed this in an interview on China's television's Politics Today program, revealed the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, had approved funds for the airlines to evacuate Nigerians. When asked if the number of evacuees was about 2,000 and when the evacuation would take place, he said, "Wednesday, hopefully, Air Peace and Max Air." Still on the Ukraine issue, former Bayelsa Senator Ben Bruce has asked wealthy Nigerians to use the private jet to evacuate stranded Nigerians in Ukraine. Bruce urged Nigerian billionaires alongside those contesting for election in 2023 to search their conscience and use their jets to rescue Nigerians rather than carry their girlfriends to vacations. This crisis in Ukraine has lingered with Nigerian citizens unable to find a solution, the common sense senator wrote on social media on Wednesday. "I have a question for our billionaires and those aspiring for elective office. How many of you have fueled your private jets and sent them to neighboring countries around Ukraine to help evacuate Nigerians home? None. But how many of you have fueled the same to carry your girlfriends to Harrods and fancy unnecessary races in Monaco? A number of you. Search your conscience and be a useful and genuinely charitable Nigerian," he wrote. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has said that stranded Nigerians will be evacuated as from Wednesday from Poland, Hungary, Romania, and even Russia airports. The foreign minister, Geoffrey Onyema, however, said that some Nigerians are not willing to return to the country from Ukraine. Back home, a 40-year-old man, Aminu Bello, has been paraded by operatives of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, KB State Command, for allegedly making love with daughter. Parading the suspect at the State Command of NSCDC, the State Commander, Musa Bala, said the arrest was affected following a tip-off from members of the public who reported the incestuous acts. "We parade before you a 40-year-old man, Aminu Bello, who allegedly made love with his daughter in Badaria area in Brandon Kebbi State." The NSCDC chief said his command will continue to arrest and expose bad elements in society. The command spokesperson, Akim Adeyemi, said investigation is ongoing on the matter, after which the suspect will be arraigned before the court of law. Court discharges acquit Arabic teacher the fireman's sexual assault. Meanwhile, Justice Romano Shudi of the Lagos court sitting at Ikeja has discharged and acquitted a part-time Arabic teacher, Anisha Ray Suleiman, over the fireman and sexual assault charge after he spent almost 4 years in prison. Justice Oshodi held that there was no prima facie case against Suleiman, who was the final year student of the Adenino Mutoya College of Education at the time of his arrest in 2018. To another tragic story. Tension has gripped Uhuoka, community of Abraka in the Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State, as suspected herdsmen allegedly hacked a man or Genek or Kwako to death on the community's farmland. The disease was reportedly buried in a shallow grave by the silence. Punch Metro gathered that Kwako was killed when he went to his farm last Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, to fetch firewood. It was learned that a search for him began the same day when he did not return and his phone did not go through. Some vigilantes and members of Uroka community in Abraka were said to have resorted to an intensive search of the farmland and eventually discovered that he was buried in a shallow grave in the forest. The body was said to have had what appeared like matched cords. A source said the farmer recently consummated his marriage with his wife and paid a bride price, adding that he left behind a hedge and his mother and children. Meanwhile, the community's President General, Stephen Awenagaga, has appealed to aggrieved community youth, urging them not to resort to reprisals. He said, "We are predicting that in the next 1 year, many people will die from hunger. Starvation is coming. People cannot farm, no foodstuff. When this place was peaceful, Abraka was feeding 60% of Delta State because the soil is fertile. But now, our people struggle to buy cassava. Imagine us that before this crisis we're selling cassava and farm produce. Now we go as far as embassy to buy. How are we going to make our money and feed well?" The State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Bright Edafe, could not be reached for comment as of the time of filing this report. To another tragic event from Kwara State, a spare part dealer identified only as Dauda has died after falling from a two-story building in Ilorin, Kwara State. Punch Metro gathered that the victim, believed to be in his 30s, fell from the top of the building where he was sleeping and died before he got to the hospital. The incident occurred around 12 p.m. on Friday in Ileonio, Itamari, Ilorin. Many residents in the Ilorin metropolis in recent times sleep outside the apartment due to the scorching heat of the dry season. The deceased, it was gathered, was a dealer at the Jembe Spare Part Market in Ilorin. A colleague of the deceased, who identified himself as Alpha Abdul, said Dauda recently completed his apprenticeship and was managing with another colleague in the market before the incident happened. He said the house is a 3-story building, but there is a place where people relax and sleep to enjoy breeze, as people no longer sleep in their rooms because of the heat in town as a result of the dry season. They tried to rush him to a hospital, but he was already dead. He has since been buried, according to Islamic Right. One of the zonal chairmen in the market, who gave his name as Baba Musa, confirmed the incident on Monday. Dauda just celebrated his freedom from his master in his market. He was gentle and obedient, but was missing, but Allah knows best, he concluded. And the last story, which is about fuel increase price. The cost of transportation is on the increase across the country following the hike in the pump price of premium metal spirit, popularly called petrol, in filling stations in states. Motorists still visit the few filling stations that experience PMS in Abuja and neighboring Nasarawa and Niger State on Tuesday, as many outlets in Nasarawa and other states sold the commodity at 200 naira per litre and above. This was in contrast to the federal government's approved pump price of 162 naira, 65 naira. In Abuja, black marketers freely sold petrol at 400 naira per litre and above. The National Public Relations Officer, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chief Okadike Chinedu, told one correspondent that the price of petrol in Port Harcourt River State was above 200 naira per litre in filling stations. The queues in Port Harcourt are clearing out and filling stations sell at 200 naira and above for a litre of petrol, he said. In Ilorin, Kwara State, the transportation situation grew worse on Tuesday as petrol scarcity continued. Many petrol stations locked their gates as only a few outlets, such as Bovers and the NNPC, dispense petrol to motorists at the approved price of 162 naira per litre amidst long queues. Findings show that fuel was being sold at between 350 naira to 500 naira per litre in some independent petrol stations. As a result of the fuel scarcity, transport fares increased by more than 300% for both inter- and intracity transports. In Ilorin, Metropolis commercial vehicles charge between 150 naira and 300 naira for short distance trips instead of the 50 naira that was previously charged. That was the national news from DJI TV. But before we go, a quick recap of the headlines once again. Ukraine, Max Air begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians today. We also brought to you concerning Ukraine, use your private jet to evacuate Nigerians, not girlfriends. Ben Bruce tells politicians millionaires. Father 40 allegedly made love to daughter in KB. We also brought to you suspected herdsmen killed Delta farmer, bury corpse in a shallow grave. Of weather, man falls, dies while sleeping on Storey building. And lastly, transport fares rise, filling stations sell petrol above 200 naira per litre. For more updates on our YouTube channel, the handle is Baba Bagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, selecting all option to enjoy our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page to access our broadcast. On Instagram, Bagede Imo _22. For other placement of goods and services, coverage of events and function, both outdoors, the phone number streaming on your screen is the direct line to dial, strictly for other placements. I am yours faithfully, Mo Rabila Lawal. Good afternoon.